just 2 days ahead of the actual draft taking place in Green Bay, Wisconsin this year. Now, as always, what I say, the caveat I give whenever I do a mock draft, I do not watch college sports. I'm not a college guy. So I'm doing this for fun. I'm doing this for relaxation. And I come to these conclusions based on watching and reading other people's mocks, thinking about what I think teams' needs are, and then sort of also applying my own opinions on top of that. I've watched a lot of highlights, especially of the top 10 guys here, and things of that nature, but again, I'm not a college guy. Okay, so I'm using this Pro Football and Sports Network draft tool. It looks pretty decent, and now I have my notes here, and I'm doing no trades. No trades, so obviously, in the actual draft there will be trades, but I can't predict trades. So first overall pick, this has pretty much been locked in, it seems like, unless basically everybody is lying to the beat reporters. But the Tennessee Titans, they need a quarterback and a wide receiver. That's what I said they need most. And the odds-on favorite, basically a lock at this point, they're going to be taking Cam Ward, quarterback out of Miami, 39 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 4,313 yards. He's a playmaker. He's got a strong arm. But yeah, Will Levis got benched about partway through last season, which was a shame because I remember still that first year that he was playing and how electric he was at times, and it's just really unfortunate what happened to his career, but hopefully Cameron Ward does not suffer a similar fate. Now we have Cleveland here on the board. I have their largest needs as quarterback and offensive line, but they have a can't-miss talent here with the opportunity to get them second overall. And I think the Cleveland Browns are going to take Travis Hunter, cornerback / running back from Colorado, obviously a very big-name prospect, versatile two-way playmaker player, can play offense and defense. Will be interesting to see if Cleveland lets him do that, if they keep him on one side or the other. But he has 15 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 1,258 yards. A very unique player, Travis Hunter. And I think people would give him more flowers if he was not on Colorado, just because of the, everything that goes on with that team. Okay, now we have the New York Giants. I have their biggest needs as quarterback and offensive line. But there's another can't-miss talent here that they can pair with some absolute dogs they already have on their defense, like Kayvon Thibodeau. I think they're going to take Abdul Carter, edge from Penn State. He has 68 tackles, 12 sacks. He's an elite athlete, elite pass rusher. And I think he really just shores up that defense in New York and just makes that defense, I think, very dangerous. It's going to be very interesting to watch. If they can add Abdul Carter, what that defense will look like. At some point, I might have to stop saying that the team needs offensive linemen. Because from what I can tell, basically every team in the NFL needs help on the offensive line. But the New England Patriots definitely do need help on the offensive line, especially keeping quarterback Drake May safe, which is why I think they're going to take Will Campbell, offensive tackle, out of LSU, 6'6", 219 pounds, has quick change of direction, very, very good feet, explosive, elite power. He's going to be a very, very good option for them. And again, you have to protect Drake May a little bit better than Jaguars. I had the Jaguars' biggest need as O-line and D-line, as well as their secondary. I'm going to have them take Mason Graham here. D-tackle out of Michigan, 45 tackles, 3.5 sacks. He's an extremely strong run defender, explosive off the line. Exactly what I believe Jacksonville needs. Now the Las Vegas Raiders, I personally don't like taking a running back this high, but as somebody who is a Seahawks fan, I lived with years of Pete Carroll, and Pete Carroll loves drafting running backs high in the draft, and I think he's going to take Ashton Jeanty here, especially because Jeanty reminds me a lot of Marshawn Lynch, running back from Boise State, 29 touchdowns, 2,600 yards. Like I said, that just has Pete Carroll written all over it. Now the Jets, I think I've pretty much drafted the expected pick at every spot so far. But I'm going to go a little bit off script here at the Jets. And I think the Jets are going to grab Tyler Warren. And I say that because there's been a number of news stories saying that they've met with him, that they're kind of locked in on him. So it might be a bit of a reach taking him up here. So they might try to trade down if they think they can get him later in the draft. Or they might just get the guy who, at least it seems like to me, Tyler Warren is their guy. I think they're just going to grab him there, tight end from Penn State, 6'6", 8 touchdowns, 1,233 yards, really good yards after catch receiver, very strong frame. I don't know what their QB situation is going into next year, but Tyler Warren is going to be a very good offensive weapon for whoever it is they have in there. Now, Panthers, I said that they need edge, secondary, and wide receiver. I'm going to have them take Jalen Walker. He's an edge from Georgia, 60 tackles, 6.5 sacks. I think this Panthers team is desperate for defense. I think they gave up the most points in the entire NFL last season. I might be wrong about that, but I think they did. And I think Walker helps them there. Elite pass rush, very long arms, so he can get up and he can disrupt the passing lanes, things like that. Get his hands, tip passes. But I think that's kind of exactly what the Panthers need at this point, is a guy like Walker. Now we come to the New Orleans Saints, and Derek Carr will not be playing next season. I already thought that they needed to go quarterback in this draft regardless, but in my mind the Derek Carr news has skyrocketed quarterback to the top of their needs, even though it is not listed here in their team needs. And I think they're going to take Shedeur Sanders, quarterback from Colorado, again. You're going to have the same sort of concerns that Travis Hunter had, where people are going to, the spotlight and all that, but I think Sanders is a good quarterback. 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, over 4,000 passing yards, accurate playmaker. He's not the best athlete, which is funny given who his dad is, but I think he's very accurate with the ball, so I don't know if he needs to be that good of an athlete. I think he'll be, at least I believe he can be about a league average quarterback at the very least. As one thing, I've heard that this draft is not really a draft, save for maybe a couple guys up here. This isn't a draft that we're going to look back on. It's one full of world beaters. I saw a comment somebody made that this is a draft full of starters, not all-stars. And that kind of makes sense to me, just looking at what I've seen. Also, it has been rumored that the Steelers really want Sanders or really just a quarterback in general. And no other team between the Saints and the Steelers need a quarterback. So I think that the Saints, even though maybe if this is a bit of a high spot to draft Sanders, they're going to want to spearhead that there and not let him fall to Pittsburgh. Okay, 10th overall pick with the Chicago Bears. I have the Chicago Bears drafting Armand Membo, offensive lineman from Missouri. They are going to need protection for Caleb Williams. He almost set the rookie sack record last season. Did he break the rookie sack? I don't think he broke the sack record, but he got close. He got sacked all the time. That offensive line in Chicago is terrible. Membo, offensive lineman from Missouri, 6'4", 332 pounds. Very big frame, very strong man, but he has a good motor. He's not a guy who gets tired. And especially for a guy his size, really good footwork. The 49ers, I think they need a lot of help. I said they need the D-line, edge, and O-line. And I have them going a bit off here. The guy I have them drafting isn't even... Where is he at? I have them taking Walter Nolan, D-line from Ole Miss. Now, this is apparently a bit of a reach according to this, but everything I've seen on this guy, he just screams 49ers to me. 6'4", 296 pounds, 48 tackles, 6.5 sacks. He's super quick off the line. He's good at finding holes. He gets through the gaps. He's very shifty, like change of direction, find the holes, and pressure the QB. Just watching the guy, I was like, oh, that's a guy that's gonna play for the Niners and terrorize the Seahawks for the next 10 years. So I'm going Walter Nolan for the Niners. Cowboys, in my mind, the biggest needs for the Cowboys is wide receiver and running back. So I'm having them take Tadaro McMillan. Excuse me if that's how you pronounce that name. They need some more depth in the wide receiver spot, and I think he gives them that. 8 touchdowns, 1,019 yards with Arizona. He's a big wide receiver. He has good hands, and he is good at beating man coverage. And he is the first wide receiver off the board here, the 12th overall pick to the Dallas Cowboys. The Miami Dolphins. Now, they have the needs here is cornerback, D-tackle. In my mind, I think Miami needs offensive line help more than anything else. Especially with Tua Tagovailoa and the concussions he was getting last season. Protection for Tua, in my mind, is the biggest thing that they need. And that's why I have them drafting Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive lineman from Texas. 6'5", 315 pounds, massive guy, just a huge dude. Good strength, explosive, short burst quickness, and I think he can really help protect Tua, which should be, in my opinion, the top priority for Miami this year. Now we come to the Indianapolis Colts. I have their biggest needs as O-line, tight end, and edge. And I have them grabbing Colston Loveland, tight end from Michigan. I think that is exactly what Anthony Richardson needs as far as an offensive weapon is concerned. He's 6'6", 248 pounds, big tight end. 5 touchdowns, 582 yards. He has good hands. Given his height, he has a bit of a slim frame, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing because he's a good route runner. And him running those routes will hopefully give Richardson that pressure release valve if he's getting pressured. Dump the ball off to the tight end. He has yards after catch ability. So I have Colston Loveland going to the Colts. Now Atlanta, I have Atlanta's biggest need as edge and D tackle. Georgia, 6'5", 260 pounds. He had 21 tackles, 5 sacks, elite length, very tall guy, very good run defender, and he also has the versatility to be a pass rusher as well, so he can play both sets. And I think Atlanta, having that versatility, having that edge there, Shamar Stewart and Mike Green were also in that similar spot. Okay, just throwing this out there, I think I may have made a mistake somewhere along the line doing my mock draft, because they have Shamar Stewart here as the 13th best player, and I don't have him anywhere on my mock that I did. I also don't have Will Johnson, so stand back and stand by. But again, like I said, this isn't going to be amazing. The Arizona Cardinals edge, D-tackle, wide receiver, I have them grabbing Matthew Golden, wide receiver from Texas. 9 touchdowns, 187 yards. He's good run after catch talent, and he is very good at beating coverage. This Arizona Cardinals team, when I think of this team and I think of their offense, I think of fast. They're trying to get the ball out fast, they're trying to get down the field quickly, they want to get to their spots, they want to have a quick offensive game and then give you the ball back after scoring. And I think he fits that mold for Arizona. Okay, now, the Bengals. I have the Bengals, their biggest needs as edge and secondary. I have them taking Mike Green. Again, I overlooked Shamar Stewart here. And Will Johnson, that's my bad. But I will mess up everything else I have here if I try to retroactively change that. So Mike Green, 6'3", 251 pounds, very explosive pass rusher. Last season he had 84 tackles, 17 sacks. The only real knock against him is he's a little bit undersized, but I think that this Bengals system, I think he'll work for them. I think they'll take the chance on Mike Green. Okay, the Seattle Seahawks. I said for Seattle Seahawks, our biggest need was O-line, O-line, O-line. I think that it is the biggest need for Seattle. It has been the biggest need for Seattle for years. If we draft anything other than O-line, admittedly I'll be a little bit upset. But I think we're going to take Gray Sable. This might be a bit of a reach, but he has been quickly going up draft boards that I've been looking at. 6'6", 312 pounds. He can play multiple spots all over the O-line. I think they said he can play all 5 positions on the O-line. He has a very smooth game, and he only gave up 1 sack all of last season. Okay. Now, Tampa Bay. That is their biggest needs is cornerback, safety, edge. I said their biggest need was edge and secondary. I should probably grab Shamar Stewart or Will Johnson here, but again, we're going to act like they don't exist for the time being. I had them predicted them to get Jahdae Barron. Jahdae Barron, he's from cornerback from Texas, 67 tackles, 5 interceptions. He's a ball hawk with very good instincts, good nose for the ball, and the sort of guy that I think Tampa Bay will really appreciate having. The biggest need I identified for Denver was running back, wide receiver, and tight end. So I think that, where is he? Omarion Hampton, running back from North Carolina, is the way Denver goes here. Maybe a bit of a reach again, but he had 15 touchdowns, 1,600 yards. He's good at breaking tackles. He's good at acceleration. And this is a young, exciting Denver team with a very exciting offense. He's the type of guy I think they can elevate this offense even higher. Steelers is basically QB, QB, QB. There's been some rumblings that they might want to get Aaron Rodgers. I think even if that happens, you need to get a young guy because he'll either get hurt or you need somebody to be willing to step in and take that spot there. So I'm going to have them grab. They're going to reach a bit, but they're going to draft their quarterback, Jackson Dart, quarterback from Ole Miss. He had 29 touchdowns, 6 picks, 4,239 yards. He's cool under pressure. He has good accuracy. I'm going to be honest, I'm not that high on Jackson Dart. I don't think he's going to be that great. He's the last QB I have going in the first round. I think of the three, he'll be the worst. But again, I think that the Steelers need a quarterback here, so maybe they'll take the chance, and they can always draft somebody else next year or the year after that. Chargers, I said the Chargers need tight end, wide receiver, running back help, but I'm having them grab a guy that they feel like they can't really miss out on here. Giot Campbell. He's a linebacker from Alabama, 117 tackles, 5 sacks, 6'3", 235 pounds. He can also play edge, so he has that versatility. He's a very, very athletic player. I think even though he's technically not in a position of need for the Chargers, that's a guy that is such an exciting talent that they can't miss him here. The Packers, I said their biggest need was offensive line and secondary. And so in my mind, they're going Donovan Eziraku, edge from Boston College. He has 80 tackles, 16.5 sacks. I'm going to be honest, I had a hard time figuring out who I thought they should grab here. I was kind of looking around, comparing a few different mocks. They were all very different. It seemed like not a lot of people agreed on who the Packers should draft here. So for me, this is sort of just a throwaway pick. My apologies. The Vikings, I said their biggest needs were secondary and defensive tackle. So I'm having them grab Derek Harmon, D-tackle from Oregon, 6'5", 313 pounds, 45 tackles, 5 sacks. He has a very explosive first step, and they probably get a guy a little bit later here than they likely will. He'll probably be off the board by then, or if he's not, they'll be happy to get him at that spot. Okay, the Houston Texans, I said they needed offensive linemen. They needed a wide receiver. That was what I identified as their biggest need. And I'm having them draft Kenneth Grant, D-lineman from Michigan, 6'4", 331 pounds, very powerful defender. The Rams, I said that their biggest needs were offensive line and secondary, probably with the secondary being more of a need than the O-line, and I think they'll grab Malachi Starks, the first safety to come off the board here from Georgia. 77 tackles, 1 interception. He can play anywhere on the field. He can play all different sorts of coverages. He's very, very versatile. And again, much like Walter Nolan reminded to me, he seemed like a 49ers guy. Malachi Starks seems like a Rams guy. Now we come to the Ravens. The Ravens, I said they needed offensive line help and secondary help. And I'm expecting them to draft Josh Simmons. Offensive line from Ohio State, 6'5", 317 pounds. Now the only reason I think he'll fall this far, the only reason he's fallen down a lot of draft boards, is he had I think a pectoral injury, something like that. And those can sometimes be hard to recover from, but I think that if he does make a full recovery, and if he hasn't lost a step or anything like that, I think that the Baltimore Ravens will get a very good steal right here in a good spot in the draft. Alright, so the rest of this I'm going to be doing flying by the seat of my pants here. So I'm just gonna have Detroit take Shamar Stewart because I do think they need an edge. Their biggest needs is edge, OL, and secondary, so I'm putting him there. Now, Washington, I think their biggest needs are edge, secondary, and wide receiver. But the big thing with them, if I look at their wide receivers, I feel like there's a lot of older guys, especially, and it worked well for them last season. But I think that Emeka Egbuka, getting another receiver in that receiver room, to just be mentored by the older guys to come up in that system, because those guys are going to start aging out soon. The Bills, I said that they need secondary, they need D-line, and they need wide receiver. So I'm going to have them take Nick Emanwari, safety from South Carolina. The Chiefs, they need offensive line, D-line, wide receivers. Is Patrick Mahomes. We saw in the Super Bowl he was getting pressured, and all season long he was getting pressured more than he has been. So I'm having them grab Tyler Booker. And finally, the Eagles, I said that they need secondary and they need D-line help. So let me have them grab, I'll just give them Will Johnson here. Okay, so this is the full results of my draft. Again, I made a mistake. It seems like when I was doing my draft board earlier, there will be Will Johnson and Jamar Stewart, I think, will probably come off the board higher. Maybe, maybe not, I don't know, but I'm like, I'd say 70%. I'm confident about 70% of these picks. I'm really hopeful this is what the Seahawks do here. I think my top 6, maybe even my top 9 is pretty. I think my top 5 I'd say is 100% happening. My top 6 I would say is like 90%. My top 8, 70%. My top 9 I'd say is like 60% happening. After that, I think it starts to get me a little bit messy, but we'll see. But like I said, I'm not a college guy. I'm not a draft guy, but you guys have been asking for these videos, and I hope this was at least fun and relaxing, and this was a fun little tool to use. Anyways, let me know what you think your team's biggest needs are going into this year's NFL draft, and of course I will be doing a draft recap after it is over and all of the rounds have finished. So, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this every single week. Till next time, guys.